Assalamu alaikum. Thank you and welcome to Papa D's. This is our edition of quick recipes, 10-minuters, especially for the busy mom who needs to get home from work and then prepare for the family. So today we're starting off with a very simple dish, and in front of me I've got some of the ingredients and I'll just go through them with you quickly. We've got here turmeric, ground cumin, salt and whole cumin. You will notice that there aren't too many ingredients in this dish. What I find is we have those mindsets where we always have our ginger, garlic and everything in all our dishes. I just feel that you shouldn't always have the same basic ingredients, because then eventually all your food tastes the same. So you'll notice from this dish here, after you've made it and tasted it, that less is also more. So I'm going to start now with the chicken fillet. Very importantly, that you should use good utensils when you are working, because that makes all the difference. It makes your cooking easier, it makes your cuts cleaner. And remember, especially with chicken, never use a serrated knife, because a serrated knife is going to actually give you quite a jagged finish. I'm getting my chicken ready, and what we'll do next is get our pan going and get our chicken into the pan. Get the stove on. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. You will notice that I'm using olive oil. You could actually use regular cooking oil, that's fine as well. And what we'll do here is I'm going to put in the cumin first. It is cumin and jalapeno chicken, so don't be afraid to use the cumin. The turmeric powder is actually, besides the flavor that it's going to add, I'm using it more to also bring on the color. I'm also going to add the salt to the mixture to taste. And then I'm going to grab some fresh jalapenos. These are my favorite. And I'm taking some of these serrano chilies as well, which you could also use. They're also not too pungent. Your tip for the day is that if you actually want to use the chilies and you're afraid of the heat factor, then all you need to do is remove the capsaicin gland, which I'm doing now. But jalapenos are not really that pungent, so you shouldn't have a problem with that. Alright, so what we're doing is I've removed the capsaicin gland, and because we're using the jalapenos, I'm going to just drop them in here. And I've used, you'll notice, red and green. I like the red for the color. And of course, we don't want to overcook these. I've got those in. And if you should like, as I said, you could use the serrano chilies as well. The nice thing about chilies is they have this amazing flavor. Alright, I know we always associate them with being very strong, and I've actually met friends that have said, you know what, I don't want my food to be fighting with me. So I said, no, you can have the flavor. I think generally there's a bit of a misconception to Indian cooking that it's always strong and spicy. Here I'm showing you that it can still have the flavor without being overspiced. If you really look at it, we've only used 2 spices here. I'm just going to add a pinch of the fine coriander as cumin as well. I'm adding in my chicken, and you'll notice the cooking process is so quick and easy. So I'm just going to add in my chicken. And you can get that nice sizzle, and there the aromas are already coming through. Now, what you can always do is start off with a little bit of turmeric, and then you can always add more later, just to make sure that you've got the right color, right? We want that yellow color in here, and you can see the cumin all on the chicken as well. Your real cooking time on this meal, if you have all your ingredients together, shouldn't be more than 10 minutes, because especially cooking filleted chicken is very quick. I just need my jalapenos to soften slightly. I don't want to cook them out completely, because you need to get those flavors and you need to get the crunch of the actual chili when you're having the meal. Now here we are. You can see the cumin. I haven't burned the cumin too much. You can see it's still nice and light brown. We don't want it burnt black. All right. And now I'm going to create a bit of a gravy. Now, you know, this dish actually you could use two ways. As it is now, if you want to use it as an accompaniment, say you have your curry khichdi or dal and rice or something like that, and you just want to have an accompaniment. Sometimes you even make mud dal, and we're all used to having the same accompaniments with it, like fried fish and so forth. This actually works very well as an accompaniment, as it is now. But I'm taking it to just another step further to make it almost like a rich curry. And to do that, I'm going to add in some mayonnaise. And remember, when it comes to mayonnaise, you get mayonnaise and you get mayonnaise. So remember, always use the better quality one. Price also doesn't obviously. So what I've done in here is I've added some mayonnaise, and you can of course determine how much gravy you want, and you could add the mayonnaise. Also remember to add the mayonnaise completely at the end of your cooking procedure, because otherwise you'll notice it'll burn out and separate. So what I'm going to do here is just add a little more mayonnaise so that I can keep it all together. And give it a nice creamy finish. Add a little bit more mayonnaise. I've now got the mayonnaise in. You'll notice it's quite rich and creamy. If you want to add more mayonnaise, you're welcome to do that. But also the coriander, the fresh coriander, I'm not adding it into the dish. I prefer serving the dish and then just placing the coriander on the top. So it's fresh, because that gives you the aroma, the flavor. If you put it into your meal, it all burns out. Now at this point, I'd like to put in some tomatoes, very thinly sliced. This will also enhance the color, and it will also give you a nice texture. Now I don't want to really cook the tomatoes through. Somehow, if you are one that needs your tomatoes cooked a little bit more, you could do that. But I need to just give them a light cooking so that they're just about softened. And there we are. We're almost ready to serve. Now I'm going to serve this. You know, I do realize that the mothers have no time. Families demand everything out of them. So we don't have the time now to come home and make roti. But I found a shortcut for you there as well. And what I'm going to do is serve this with a puff paratha, which comes to you frozen, and it takes 5 minutes to make. So I'll show you how that's done, and in the meantime we'll put the curry to rest. Our curry is now ready, and I'm going to leave it aside, and I'm going to do the puff paratha for you. You know, with time I find all these little inventions or creations by other creative chefs have become very useful for the busy mother. So you could use your regular tawa and do it on there. So the only thing with the regular tawa is that you cannot control the heat. So what I found, this lovely little invention here, it works like a bomb. It's so quick. I'm just switching it on now, as you see, and in under 2 minutes it's going to be as hot as I need it. So what I'm doing now is I'm just adding a little bit of butter or even margarine to this, very little. Now remember, you could always get these ready-made parathas from us, from our deli at Papadi's, and so all you need to do is just melt your margarine or butter down slightly. I'm going to turn on the heat a bit. All right, and while that's melting, you must remember that the paratha has to be used frozen. You don't need to defrost it. All you do is take it frozen. The wrapping comes off quite easily, and there you go. So our butter or margarine has already melted nicely. You can see how it's sizzling already. And there we go. All you need to do is put that in there. I'm just going to flip it over quickly. Spread it out straight. Because now obviously it's defrosting completely, as you can see. I'm going to turn on the heat a little bit more, because ultimately if you do cook it on higher heat, you won't get all the oil and the butter getting absorbed into the paratha. So a little bit of heat will actually help you to cook it quicker, and you'll get it to puff. Now you'll notice it's almost there. You can see it's beginning to puff now. But the amazing thing is with this, that once it's done, it almost looks like a layered paratha, like a proper layered paratha. All right, I'm just going to flip it over again. There we are. You can see how it's browning up nicely on the edges. The heat seems to be a little more spread towards the ends of the pan. And I was concentrating on the center, not realizing that the electric pan is somewhat different. In the conventional pan, your heat is always concentrated in the middle. You can see it's puffing up nicely. You can just keep a check on it from time to time. You don't want it to burn. And I'm going to flip it again. All right, can you see the sizzle there? And again, amazingly, it keeps rising. So when you have this, it's actually very rich, but it's an amazing taste. This particular paratha is the one with the see all the little green stuff in there? That's actually your spring onions. So this is a spring onion puff paratha. Can you see how nicely it's rising? I put, my personal taste is to have my parathas a bit crispy on the outside. This will always be soft on the inside, but I like them crispy on the outside. You'll notice how nicely it's browning now. I do prefer somehow the margarine, because butter tends to burn. And then that will also make your paratha look a little bit burnt. All right, the paratha is ready, and let's see how we're going to serve this dish. All right, now here's a suggestion. You know, we normally don't plate our food. When we have guests, we don't usually do the plating. But I'm going to show you two presentations. sometimes you may have special guests, and you may have a few different courses. So you would like to plate them and send them out individually. So for that reason, I'm actually going to add the coriander now. So what I'm going to do is take the fresh coriander. I'm not using the stems. So all I'm going to do now is finish this up, break it up so that it gives you the nice texture all over. And coriander is always a lovely, lovely garnish, and also it adds and enhances the flavor. So this is now ready to serve. If you are serving it even in a pot, try and serve it in an open pot where your guests get to see all the ingredients. Alright, now that our curry is ready, I'm just going to show you the different, if you are deciding to plate it for your guests, then this might be one way of doing it. You probably have more creative ideas of your own. I like using color in my dishes. Though I've used a plain white plate, we can actually bring up and highlight the meal with just a few colors, like for instance the little lettuce and the gem tomatoes and so forth. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to plate this. You'll notice by now your tomato is cooked through completely. Your jalapenos are also nicely cooked through. And you can see the nice blend with the red and the green jalapenos. You want to try and avoid too much of the oil going into your plate. Alright, now we've managed to plate the meal, and what I'm doing is, you'll notice the tomato is cooked through completely. I'm avoiding taking the oil in, of course, but I want to get that cumin and the tomato that is cooked through completely. And what I'm going to garnish it with is I'll get some butter lettuce. Maybe if you want to use that for color, that makes it look good too. And maybe one of these little gem tomatoes. Now what I'm going to do is just cut this little gem tomato up into a little flower. Remember, you could use your own garnish as well. And it's always nice, you know, we tend to eat with our eyes. So if you have guests over and you take that little extra time just to garnish the thing, to look a bit better, I'm going to put in a little onion ring around that. And there we are. You could go a step further. Because the meal is all green and red, I'm using red and green syrup just to highlight the plate. So this is our presentation of our cumin and jalapeno chicken served with a puff paratha. And remember, you can get the puff parathas at Papa's Deli. We're at the train in Fordsburg. We look forward to seeing you at our next episode. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum.